Hello, Wellbeing enthusiasts. Welcome again to our podcast. This is Horia, your host for Wellbeing Enthusiasts podcast. Today, I've invited Bogdan to join again back to us. He has delivered a wonderful seminar a few months ago. It was a nice workshop entitled "Make the Best of Your Time with No Regrets." Bogdan Cojocaru, welcome back to us. How are you doing today?
Hi, Horia. Thank you for having me over. Feeling great, and hello to our listeners. It's great to be back here with you.
It's been a few months since we first met at our seminar. What have you been doing lately? Are you keeping your promises?
I've been doing a lot of things, reprioritizing, adjusting, adapting. Basically, what I've said also in that seminar. But actually, this year I've focused a lot on my bucket list, we could say. So everything I've been postponing for a while started to get a better position on my agenda, and to fulfill that faster, I started getting some naggers, people that nag me and ask me what I've been doing and where I am, what's my progress, and it's going great for me in that aspect.
That's brilliant. Speaking about the bucket list, are you also talking about the New Year's resolutions? Now we are at the beginning of March, so we have already passed more than 2 months of this year. How are you standing with New Year's resolutions?
Well, honestly, I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions because those make you prone a bit to disappointment, perhaps at the end of the year. Instead of that, I like to do two other things. First one is to make a note every time I do something that would count as a small success for me or something that I'm proud of. And if you do that every day, you'll see that at the end of the year, the list gets pretty long and you feel pretty good about yourself when you're looking at it. So that's a far better exercise. And the second thing I do is plan only for short term. I mean, maybe 2 or 3 months, 4 months at best, because I know life can throw at you so many surprises in a short time that when you're making plans, I guess life is just laughing there discreetly at you. Like, look at this guy, he's making plans. So I'm not planning for the long term. Instead, I'm trying to enjoy.
That's brilliant. So you're basically focused on the present, right? On the daily mission, on what you're doing now.
On the present, not necessarily on just at a daily level, because that would be too small. I mean, I have my own plans, but I'm looking only at a 2-3 months forecast, something like that.
Excellent, brilliant. I remember during your seminar at the Wellbeing Enthusiast, you've focused at a large extent during your speech on the time management and how to manage our time more effectively. We're talking about the athletes, and also because we all have the same time frame during the day, we all have 24 hours. So why some people are more effective with their times while other people are so wasting it.
Yeah.
So do you have a daily planner or a very strict agenda that you're following on a daily basis, or you just go by the flow and you have an email, or you drop everything down, reply to that email, go back to what you have been doing? What is your approach? What are the tips and tricks to really make the best of it?
Normally, because I do try to do a lot of things during a day, I do make a to-do list for that day. It's best if I can do it a day in advance, or at least in the morning. And there's also this trick that every time you strike through something from that list, basically your dopamine levels increase and you feel better. You can carry on. But the more meaningful tricks are to get some good rest, because that's how you'll be more effective. As you just said, you can't have more hours in a day, but you can amplify your capacity to do more things within a day. And good night's sleep is essential. And contrary to what many people think, you should actually get 8 hours of sleep to be at your peak levels. Because if you would carry on as people like us in corporations do, if you carry on with only 6 hours of sleep per night and you keep on doing that for 2 weeks, At the end of those 2 weeks, your intellectual level is as if you've been hangover or haven't slept in the past 48 hours because it keeps decreasing. You need to level it at least during the weekend. The other thing I'm trying to do is to avoid multitasking as much as possible to keep focus. And other than that, I'm trying to settle my priorities to address what's important and not sabotage myself.
Exactly, that's a key point, not to sabotage yourself, because I've noticed that we basically sabotage ourselves with everything that we do. You've mentioned about the behavior in your website. Checking it earlier today, it's called "See the Human Side." Can you give us a little bit of a background about your aha moment? Let's call it like this, when you've decided to set up this wonderful website and writing all those interesting and pretty articles about we are human beings,
Yeah,
right? What other
yeah.
human side do we have apart from being human, right?
Well, I guess that website started a bit of from within a brainstorm, let's say, in my head. And what got thrown in there was that I've been dealing with people as people manager for years. I've been passionate about applied psychology since I was a teenager, and had this information in my head. And as I've just said, I'm a fan of applied psychology, of practical solutions. And there was just so much information in there that I wanted to put it in the right order and also pass back that information to others, sort of give back to friends, society, and so on. And basically, that's how this website showed up. And it's a journey. It still is a journey. It's focused on personal development and professional development because they kind of go hand in hand. You can't fully isolate them. I mean, you spend 8 to 9 hours per day at your job, including a lunch break, let's say, and you sleep for 8 hours ideally, and you have the other 8 hours, and you can't separate them and say, I'm going to develop at a personal level in these 8 hours, but while I'm at work, I'm not going to develop. I'm just going to be there, and that's it. So you can't isolate them, and they go hand in hand. And what most people are lacking these days, I would say, is to actually see the human side in our interaction, especially at work, because often we project an image, usually a fake image, which is not good for us. And we should all understand that we are human and try to act more human. So this would be the story of the website in a nutshell. And everything that you'll find in there is something that's been tried on. It's not just theory. You have practical advice, things that you can actually use, and in small pills that take, I don't know, 3-4 minutes to read because our attention span is getting smaller and smaller these days. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that's the story.
Yes, I love it. I love the story of it. Yes, definitely. I enjoyed reading these kind of articles. I'm an avid reader of this kind of articles and books as well. You've mentioned
Thank you.
about this the split in hours of work, hours of sleep, and then hours that you have for yourself and for your family. You know that since last year, since March already,
Mm-hmm.
we've been 1 year of pandemics. We've all been working together, staying with our families. Our daily routines are a lot hectic than before. Sometimes we start our work at 8 o'clock in the morning and finish up late at night with all kind of interruptions throughout the day, with small kids that you need to look after, with cooking and doing all this other stuff. So
Sure.
our attention span has decreased probably significantly because we don't have we cannot simply block times, time frames to do a specific task. How are you approaching this situation? What are your suggestions on this? How could we tackle it so that we don't get overburned? Because sometimes I feel like doing all this, shifting from one activity to another in a um,
Yeah.
very fast manner.
Um, There's one funny thing I've noticed when we first starting working remotely. I mean, everybody, literally everybody, that in the first days or the first 2 weeks, everybody was trying to keep this professional appearing. Some were still dressing up, shirt, even a tie if they were, high manager level or partner level, and so on. And it was funny because everybody knew we were at home, and that's not how we dress or how we interact in our own home, obviously. And I was really enjoying observing this because after those first 2 weeks, everybody started to relax a bit, and everybody started to admit basically that, okay, maybe that person is your manager over there, but she's also a mother or wife or has duties around the house, or that colleague of yours that's an expert, I don't know, in cloud services and so on, also has a dog that wants attention and so on. Right now he's at home. So what could help in the way we're working right now? The first thing is to admit that we're human and not pretend we're robots sitting in front of the computer and just doing work. And that should bring us more empathy and understanding towards the others and focus more on the essential of our work. Because I, for one, I've never been a fan of presenteeism, like just being connected. It's so I know it's 10 a.m. sharp. You have to be there connected, and when once it's, I know, 6 p.m. you have to be. No, I'm interested in what you're doing in there. What is the quality of your work? Maybe you get to do your work brilliantly in 4 hours, and I wouldn't ask anyone to justify the time spent in the other four in there. So it's a lot about being human and focusing on the life-work balance. I don't like to call it work-life balance because life should come first and work second. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, of course, as a professional in what you work, you're delivering good quality, you are focusing on what you have to do in there, but your focus at a personal level should be on your own life, on what matters for you, on what brings value to yourself, what makes you happy in the end.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Very well said. Very nicely said, definitely. How do you think we as human beings will evolve in time in terms of our behaviors when we will get back to work at the offices? Are we going to be changed significantly, or will just be able to revert back to the normal?
Well, there will be a change for sure. I'm not sure how long it will last, but at least in my case, during this time spent away from the office, I missed for sure the human interaction. On the other hand, I got to know more people in their own environment, and because of these small interruptions you're getting, let's say during a meeting or some other events, you got to know certain aspects of the other person's life in there, like, okay, he's got a small kid, he's got a dog, he's got a cat, and so on. So there was this connection built in a way. What I fear, but hopefully we'll manage that, is that uh, we've become by force of events, a bit more isolated, and we might be a bit reluctant to get back to our old habits. But in a way, I trust human nature. I mean, I trust we'll be just as friendly whenever that will happen, once we'll get back to the office. On the other hand, the thing I appreciate most was that a lot of employers, companies have been able to see that people can work remotely and in places where they enjoy and where they can cover their own needs in a better way and still deliver high quality, and that was not impacted. And we already know, I mean, it has already transformed the labor market all over the world. So that for sure will make a change. So most likely the office will become a place where we'll meet most to interact or to keep a social connection or just to meet face to face. But it will not be a place where you have to go every single day. I mean, of course, it depends on the work you are doing, but we already have this change at the world level, and it's a keeper. we'll keep that. I'm pretty sure.
Exactly, exactly. 'Cause, yeah, I remember for us it was the same. Going to the office was a meeting place. we'll meet up and spend time together, having coffee and working together. But when it comes to work, to doing the work, you just sit there on your own and do your own calls, your own projects and so on. You just meet with your colleagues once in a while. So it's very powerful indeed. We'll see how it will evolve. Thank you so much, Bogdan, for all these nice words and nice tips and tricks. As a final thought, before we wrap up, and what are your plans for the future if you will get invited back again to hold another seminar at the Wellbeing Enthusiasts? Any surprises for us to on how to behave to have a better behavior?
Well, what I'm aiming for and I recommend to everyone was just to try to be the best version of yourself. And
Excellent.
from there, you can derive a lot of actions, but at least for me, that's my only focus. I enjoyed a lot of the seminar we had together. It was very interactive. I like the questions I've heard in there. So if I would be invited again, it would be my pleasure to join you again. And other than that, I would invite everyone to stay human, be happy, be the best version they can be, and enjoy life.
Enjoy life. Thank you again, Bogdan. Thank you very much. I highly appreciate it. Bye bye,
Thank you
dear
as well.
fellow enthusiasts.
Bye, everyone.